Hello, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While, a show in which I chat with really cool people about interesting topics to spark, inspire, and motivate personal and professional change. And today's topic is, can you be happy and successful at the same time? This conversation is worth your while if you have pursued like what you've pursued in the name of success has not actually led to happiness. Or you believe that if you pursue happiness, you'll be penniless. But also, you know that you don't want to keep going in a direction that doesn't lead to both happiness and success. So, today we're going to talk about why happiness and success are not mutually exclusive. We're going to share with you how to course correct so that you can achieve both. And then we'll leave you with some small, actionable, and effective steps that you can take right now to put you on the path to both success and happiness. So let's start with some introductions. I'm Linda Bucher. I'm an authentic, heart-centered master coach, a mindset mentor, a transformational speaker, a show host, an author, and an MBA. And I believe that each of us has gifts to share with the world and that you are here to make a difference. My gift and my purpose lies in synthesizing my experience, skills, and talents to coach, lead, mentor, and teach. And I love to work with smart, passionate people who are excited about sharing their gifts and making that difference. I help them to discover their path, to balance their life, and to align their energy and direction with their gifts. And I'd love to work with you if you feel that you have important gifts to give to the world and you didn't come this far to get only this far, because it's time to make a difference and the ripple starts with you. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Christian Cosse of Primordial Coaching. And Christian helps people who are driven to make an impact. He helps them to find a deeper sense of meaning. So hi, Christian. Thank you for being with us today.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm really glad I'm here.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do, who you serve?
Yeah, no, so I work with people who have high energy output jobs and lifestyles, oftentimes leaders, and I help them shift their fuel source or their energy source from one of fear into that of love, primarily.
Oh, that's so fantastic. Imagine oh, I love utopian visions. And it's not unrealistic. But if so many people in this world could shift that fear, that source from fear to love, oh, there'd be so much less drama, so much less pain, so much less suffering. It's very beautiful what you're doing. So this topic of can you be happy and successful at the same time? Why is this worth your while to speak with me about?
Honestly, I think a lot of people think it's mutually exclusive, where people are coming at it and they think in terms of the grind culture that we have right now, where it's zero sum. You can either really push and dedicate all your energy to just like achieving your goals. Or you can choose the nice, gentle comfort. I think a lot of people associate comfort with happiness and like not productivity. Like when we think about, oh, what do you do that you really enjoy? Oh, I watch TV, or I go out and I eat a lot of sedentary things, which aren't necessarily bad, but people just keep the idea of productivity or effectiveness and happiness like on either sides of the field.
Yeah. So, um, this is our truth bomb we are dropping on people that happiness and success are not mutually exclusive. So, you tell me in your own personal experience, how do you know this to be true?
Honestly, there was a long time where I scheduled like every minute of my day, where it was down to the second. And I think I recognized that something really needed to change when I'd have a good experience or I'd have that feeling of happiness. And I was actually afraid of that. I was like, I've let my guard down. Like I'm not effective anymore. Like if I'm happy, then I relax and I'm not doing something that's going to move me closer to what I had set as my goals. And I was like, that's what the heck is the point of what I'm doing then? If I've reached that place, if I, have that business, whatever it is, and I don't appreciate it, if I can't relax, if I can't enjoy it, then really what's the point? What's the motive? And I had to take a step back, and that allowed me to put things in perspective for sure.
Yeah, yeah. That's really cool. So, I love that brought up the word effective. So, I can either be happy or I can be effective. That's where you were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And so now do you find that you can be both happy and effective?
I do. Honestly, one of my favorite examples is when people talk about the flight or flight or fight or flight, where you get this energy and like people just either want to run away or they don't want to get after it. And really, what that's happening is your body biologically is responding the same way, and you can get excited in your body, just like something important is happening right now. Here's all the energy to do what you want. And so when I find myself going towards a path and I find myself getting a little nervous, I was like, I can dictate, how I contextualize this, how I use this. And I focus on what I love about that thing or what really draws me to what calls me to it. I'm like, I'm not going to lose any of my effectiveness or energy if I see it in this context, as opposed to worrying about all the things that'll go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And now I enjoy it, which brings out my creativity and my imagination and all these other assets that were just shut down by holding in that fear set.
So, what you're actually doing is you're recognizing that when you are moving to what feels magnetically is pulling you, right? Which is that happiness factor is in there, right? That it gives you more energy, and we need energy to be effective. So, it actually can help our effectiveness. So, that's kind of a cool insight for people. Yeah.
Right.
So, I have a story as well where um, I mine was it wasn't that I didn't think I could be successful and happy at the same time. It was that I was so focused on success that I didn't ask myself, am I happy? What would happiness look like? And beyond that, I didn't even recognize that the success I had been chasing was not a definition that I came up with. I was chasing someone else's definition of success. Happened to be my dad's, which was his truth, but not my truth at all. So I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was wearing power suits. I was making egads of money. I was in a powerful position. Like I worked my way up. I learned a lot of stuff, and I spent like a quarter century in the corporate world doing that. Before I asked myself, and then I got to be like 45, and I was like, wait a minute, what who am I? Who am I? Instead of like just saying, here's what success looks like because somebody told me that, like who am I and what do I want? And when I asked myself what I wanted, happiness was more important than the definition of success I had been chasing. So then went a little bit deeper and I said, so then what if I really want happiness and I want and success should actually bring me happiness, right? They got to go hand in hand. I'm not doing either or because on paper my life looked great, but I was unfulfilled. So if you're unfulfilled, you cannot be purely happy when you're unfulfilled. So what I ended up doing is redefining success for who I am. I actually wrote a book about it, about redefining success. So once you redefine success for who you are, then this becomes apparent. And this is something that maybe someday I'll be known as, this will be one of Linda's quotes, is when you wrap what you're doing and how you're doing it around who you are, success and happiness will meet you there.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I tell people when we're talking about how to orient, external effectiveness with internal, like this healthy environment. I tell them that purpose is really just an externalized manifestation of that internal state. Like you love to help people, but it's all in there, and you get that good feeling. Doing that, you can share with the world. Like another non-mutually exclusive thing. It's like you can serve both yourself and the world at the same time, and it's honestly, to use one of those buzzwords, optimal to do that because you're like you have both motives just like pulling you in this direction so strongly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this fallacy of if you pursue happiness, that you'll be penniless, right? Like you can either do what you love or make money, but not both. And making money, part of the problem with that statement at the very outset is making money is not success. When you redefine success for who you are, you might find what you'll really find is that what you want isn't money. What you want is freedom, fulfillment, and life balance. And however much money you need to have those things is probably a lot less than what you've been thinking and pursuing. So that
Mm.
that's like the overview of what I've written about. Um, so you might need less than you think you need. You actually will. I know in my own personal experience that's true. Um, and so, what are your thoughts about this? You can either do what you love or be successful. Or if I do what I love, I'll be penniless.
I think that people they oftentimes mistake the the products of love and power to be the same thing.
Mm.
Where it's you look at power and it's like, oh, if I'm powerful, I can get whatever I want. I can get that freedom, like you were talking about before. And I can do X, Y, and Z, and I can control it, right? I can make it happen, which is that another buzzword. It's like make that stuff happen. And love is kind of like the wild card version of that, where it's like people will do the same things for love, but it seems kind of unpredictable. And you're like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to cultivate that. So I set it aside and then go down this route of like, society tells me, like you're talking about before, that if I do X, Y, and Z, I am happy. That's what happiness is. And so you're sitting there and you're like, oh, this is happiness while you're like clenched up, and like you're having all these thoughts about what you need to do or you have to do or you haven't done yet running around in your mind. And so, oh, yeah, honestly, stepping back into like what you were talking about, that experience of happiness can be a very vulnerable thing, for a lot of people. And
Yeah.
our culture, I feel like, doesn't really promote that vulnerability. It's like, can you take it? Can you make it? Can you push yourself hard enough? I'm like,
Ah.
I did. I did. I did. And then you're lying on the ground. You're like, I'm finally worth a damn. You know, after I've just expended all of my internal resources and I have to do it again tomorrow. And that's the only way that you can make it. Right. It's like, no, there's another way.
Yeah, and again, you brought up the word push, and I think of push versus pull. Um, we can push, but we can only push for so long before we run out of energy, motivation, inspiration, um, and desire to even do the thing we were pushing towards. And that's what happened to me. I just ran out of desire. I couldn't even get myself out of bed every day to go to a job that I had loved. And I was like, what is wrong? What's wrong with me? Why won't I do this? And it was my essential self, that part of me that really knows the way, my inner GPS that had been for years telling me, you're going in the wrong direction, Linda. This is not the right direction for you. But I wasn't listening to my GPS because I was listening to all the noise around me, believing, drinking the Kool-Aid of here's what it means. Push, work hard, stay late, all those things. And until I couldn't do it anymore. So part of the problem with being in that push is you can only do it for so long. Um, and if that push isn't in the direction of your own pursuit of happiness, then eventually you will run out of energy, inspiration, motivation, and desire to even go in that direction. And what happens when that happens is it's really easy to be down on yourself when that's not you, that's the problem. It's just that it's just time to course correct, right?
Yeah.
So um so now we've talked a little bit about how you can have both, because I have both. I am like I've redefined success for who I am, and once I did that, I realized I was so much closer than I thought, and in fact, I was pretty much already there, right? Which is like, what? And that's when I looked at the kinds of freedoms I wanted to have in my life and why. And that's when I looked at the kind of fulfillment I wanted to have and why, and the life balance that I wanted to have, which I have now. And I did not have when I was in all that push, did not have the life balance. And the people around me, my loved ones, they deserve the best of me, not the least of me, because I'm pushing somewhere else. So I've realigned my life to meet me where the level of freedom is that I want, the fulfillment that I know I love to have, and the life balance that that fills me up and allows me to be my best self, which allows me to be in the best service of others. And this is my definition of success. And now I am living that. So it's possible. It's completely possible because if I can do it, anybody can do it. Right? So let's talk about course correcting. So when you realized that you maybe were pursuing success, but you weren't happy, what did you do to course correct?
No, I honestly think you touched upon this just now when you said that you sat in this moment and like, what the heck? And you redefine success and you realize you already had it. And I think in that is permission, that idea of allowing yourself to feel something. Where it's like, this culture, it's like I was just saying before, it's like I was afraid to allow myself to be happy or to feel that love because like I'm vulnerable now. I can't be useful. And like there's that correlation between society when it says, hey, like if you do X, Y, and Z, you'll be happy. And I guess it's kind of correlated, you'll also be useful in society. And when you step back and like, okay, wait, I can define my own use. I can redefine success and I can allow myself to be happy without needing to drive myself into the ground or, like prove externally all these things. Just take a moment, it's like, you accept what the world gives you first off. Maybe you're not able to bring happiness to yourself at the moment, but when someone says something like, hey, you're looking great today. Oh, you made me smile. You see somebody laugh at your joke. Allowing yourself to accept that, like, and feel that goodness, because we have like this high-tech radar system that detects every possible criticism and flaw that people are projecting at us or perceiving us, even if they aren't, even if they're walking by and they look at us a certain way. And remember all of those, but to just first off, even out the awareness, right? Just like when people say good things about me or when I see opportune moments that I do something well, just allowing myself permission to bring that into my idea of myself. And it's like, I do that. I can be happy. And then that it's a little more permissible to feel that way. And a lot of those things happen, but it's one of those things that we just don't look for, like the fear or the criticism. So we just forget it right away. But I guarantee like every person's life, you look back and like, wow, there are a lot of people who were kind or generous who offered the opportunity for me to feel that way about myself. And it's just taking a moment to accept those things.
So, I'm going to like consolidate a little bit of what you said into a couple of bullet points for our
Please.
audience. So, basically become aware, become aware. That's an important piece. Awareness of what's around you, what's going on inside of you, aware of the beliefs that you have that are keeping you believing, right? This belief that you can't be successful and happy at the same time. It's just a belief. It's not a truth. It's just something that your head thinks is true, but it's not a truth because I live it, that I have both. So it can't be a universal truth if there's other people out there who are both happy and successful. Okay. The second thing is really shifting your focus. Shifting your focus instead of to the criticism to what's good and what's right in your life, and shifting your focus into who you truly are and what you truly want. Another piece that you brought up is I'm going to use the word receive. That was something I had to learn when I went on my personal journey to redefine success and live my definition of success. And it was to it seems it seems like you need to be very vulnerable when people are offering and then you receive, or someone gives you a compliment. The first thing you want to do is like, oh, this old thing, oh, I like it
Right.
of it. This old thing, that we don't want to receive. It feels vulnerable, but it's actually a strength. And when you accept the gifts that people are giving you, like it's good for both of you. Like if someone gives you something, you go, no, I don't want that. That's what you just did when you didn't accept their compliment. They gave you a gift. So, receive the gift. And so be open to receiving because there's so much goodness out there. And when you open yourself to receiving, then you can also receive it's this openness that really is the key. When you're open to new ideas, you're open to new beauty, you're open to new experiences, you're open to new growth. And that's really the catalyst for living your definition of success, being happy and successful at the same time. Um, and then, of course, the word permission, love it. Um, you don't need someone else's permission to be happy. You don't need someone else's permission to redefine success and discover what it means to you, right? You don't need anyone else's permission. It's your, you can give yourself permission. But if you do need permission, I give it to you right now,
Right.
audience. Right? Christian, you giving everyone permission? Right?
Absolutely. 100%.
Absolutely. Everybody, you all have permission from both of us to discover who you are, what's right for you, and discover how happiness and success might exist at the same time, right? So to course correct, to get on the right, on that path of pursuing both happiness and success at the same time. This is really how you do it, through these things that Christian and I have been sharing. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's possible for you, and really just starts with believing that it can be. So I hope that today we have opened your awareness, because that's a shift right there. If you didn't believe it was possible, you wouldn't have clicked on this title of this episode, like, because you want to know it's possible. And I really hope that Christian and I have helped you to understand that it is possible, and a couple of some beginning steps. So Christian, I'm going to ask you, if you just had to tell somebody one thing, just one thing to get them started to course correct, right? To be on this path to both success and happiness, what would it be?
I think you spoke about it before, when you said a gift. And when you act like you respond to a compliment, like, oh, this whole thing I got it for like 50% off on Macy's or whatever. The first is just for a moment remembering it's a gift. There is no obligation. You don't owe that person. Like, so oftentimes people are like, oh yeah, and your dress is beautiful, or like, oh, you did such a good job, that automatically reciprocate. But it's like, know that when someone gives you that, you receive it freely. So when, just like, I try to remember when someone says something about, something I'm self-conscious about or were at that time. It's like, oh, you're doing really good, and I'm learning a new sport. And instead of being like, oh no, just like putting myself down, like, thank you. Just like take a moment. It's like, it's a gift, And like you said, you wouldn't just like, thanks, and then just like chuck it away or try to give it back to that person. That'd be rude. And comments are the same way. And so just, it opens that availability to seeing yourself that same way. And oftentimes we receive a lot of gifts in those areas that we want to be successful in.
Mm-hmm. That's a beautiful beginning. It's really about opening, right? Because opening to new things is a beautiful foundational thing that we can do. And being open to receiving is a beautiful start. And it's really not that hard. But you have to practice. You got to practice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Passion for yourself. Gentleness is not going to come right away.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's very beautiful, and I definitely appreciate that. And what I've been saying, like, I'll try to think of a small actionable step. So I've been saying to get to know, discover who you are and what you truly want, and what success really means to you. And what I will do is, I actually have an ebook about this, success on your own terms. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to offer that to anyone who's listening. I will put the link to it. It's on my website. It's called Success on Your Own Terms, but I'll put the link to it right into the comments of this episode, so that they can actually go through the workbook. So it's a small actionable step, meaning it's all laid out for you, but take your time when you fill it out, and you will learn so much about yourself, and you will begin easily to shed that belief that you can't both be happy and successful at the same time. You'll shed that belief as soon as you're done with the workbook. You're like, oh, that no longer makes sense to me. And you'll have your new definition of success right in front of you. So that's what I have to offer today. So Christian, thank you for being on Conversations Worth Your While. Do you have anything that you'd like to share with or offer our audience?
Yes, just if they'd like to know more about shifting out of a fear as a primary fuel source and into the love. I have a LinkedIn account. You can send me a message and we can set up a connection call.
Yeah, that is so nice. I absolutely love that you help people to shift their fuel source from fear to love. So absolutely, audience, if that's something that resonates with you, if you get a ping, like you need to act on that ping and get on LinkedIn and connect with Christian, and he'll get on the phone with you, and we'll just chat about it. Like that's so super awesome. And I'll put Christian's LinkedIn information into the comments. And once again, I am Linda Bucher, and I work with smart, passionate people who are excited about sharing their gifts and making a difference in the world. So connect with me if you're ready to discover your path, to balance your life, and to align your energy and direction with those gifts. And I'd like to thank Christian one more time of Primordial Coaching, as well as you, our audience, for sharing your time with us today. So please subscribe and remember to check the description where you'll find our contact information. You have important gifts to share with the world, and you didn't come this far to get only this far. It's time to make a difference. So until next time, make sure you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark it ignited.